Welcome to part 3 of the Galina sew along. In this video, we are going to sew the underwire channeling to the wire seam line. We're going to sew the back bands to the frame, attach the fold over elastics, and insert the monowire. So, to sew the underwire channeling, key thing to remember is that you only want to be sewing through the seam allowances only. What you don't want to be doing is sewing the channeling on through the frame. So you want to fold your frame and your bra cups to one side and then have your seam allowances pressed to the other side. You are going to lay your channeling down on the wire seam line. Now you are supposed to be stitching on the same stitch that you made in the previous step. Perfection is overrated. Even I will deviate a little bit here and a little bit there, but that is the goal. So you want to have your channeling extending past the wire seam line about a 1/16 of an inch, at most an 1/8 of an inch. But you want to be stitching through the same stitch that you made in the previous step. So let me sew it, and hopefully that will make a little bit more sense if it's still confusing. So you have sewn the underwire channeling to the wire seam line. Two things to note is that it's not going to take shape until you actually insert the monowire. So if it's looking just bajiggity, don't worry. Once you put in the monowire, it will really take shape and hold its shape like it should. Best way that I can describe it. Another thing is that you are sewing a straight trim to a curved edge. So it gets really difficult around this area. If you don't match that curve, or you need to lower that curve a little bit in order to complete the step or sew it continuously, that is fine, totally fine. And as you can see here, I wasn't perfect. I was a little bit off. That's okay. So the next step is that we are gonna sew. Good thing is that was a pretty hard step. Next step, really easy, is that we are going to sew the back bands to the frame. So we're going to sew it with a straight stitch, 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, back stitch at the beginning and the end. Then you are going to sew channeling on just the way that you did here. So you're going to have it extending about an 1/8 of an inch past it. You want to be sewing over the same stitch line that you did when you sewed the back band to the frame. You can sew it on this side so that it's facing back, or you can sew it on the back so that it's facing the frame. Let me sew it, I'll show you, and that will make more sense. Okay, so this is what your bra should look like from the inside after you've sewn that step. So I sewed the back band to the frame, and then I sewed the underwire channeling onto the same seam line. So the next step is inserting the monowire. Now the monowire is a little difficult to put through the channeling. First of all, you want to put it inside the channeling. So there's a little channel where the underwire or monowire goes inside. The hardest part is getting it past the center. So once you get it past though, it goes right in. And this is how it should look after that step. Let me just trim this right here. It really starts to take shape. You want to feel the underarm area to make sure that you have about a quarter of an inch clearance. Because the next step is to sew the fold over elastic along the top edge here. You're going to sew the first pass, the second pass, exactly like you did along the neckline. So you're going to encase that rubber elastic or clear elastic once you sew past the bra cups. But it's important that there is about a quarter of an inch here, because when you sew this, you don't want to hit your underwire. So sew the fold over elastic along the top edge of the back band, along the frame, along the cups, and then extend it past. It should extend about 11.5 inches past. Don't worry about the length of this, the straps, because before you sew on the rings, we're going to try it on to make sure that everything fits.